Hi there, my name is Eric Moretin, and today we are going to fix this guitar. This is a Solar A1.7 Artist BD series. 7-string, 26.5-inch scale, 2 pickups, 1 volume. You know, pretty straightforward metal machine, and it is owned by my very good buddy, Andrew Bana. You may have heard of him. He does a lot of awesome videos on YouTube here. He's in a really awesome band called Carcosa, and I'll put a link to all of his great stuff down below. We've actually done a couple of videos together too, so he's a good homie of mine out in the Vancouver area right here. So, this guitar, and what Andrew wanted me to do to it was put a new bridge pickup in it and dial in this Evertune bridge. So I thought I was going to make this quick video, or probably long at this point, of how I approach setting up guitars, since it seemed like you guys liked the last one that I did with my Seymour Duncan Jupiter install. So we're going to wire in the new Seymour Duncan Alpha bridge pickup. Has a Zephyr magnet, which is much different than the Alnico 5 magnet that's in the Duncan Solar. We're going to walk through the Evertune as best as we can, and then some general tips of how to maintain and set up your guitar at home so you don't have to bring it into a store all the time. So, buckle up and let's get rolling. Alright, so as you could probably tell here, we're in a very professional environment here. You know, we're in my kind of dining room and eating area, and this is the most comfortable place I can do this, and where I usually fix all of my guitars because I have the most space. Step one, you know, find a good place to work and understand the guitar that you're working on, and if it's outside of your wheelhouse, don't bite off more than you can chew, and it's totally okay to decline work, especially if you think you're not going to do a good job at it. But I figured I'm open to trying new things, I'm open to learning, and I want to help a buddy, so maybe this kind of video will help you going forward. So we're going to get right into this. I'm just going to detune all of these strings and get them off, and then we're going to get right into taking this Duncan Solar pickup out. Here we go. Okay, so as you see here, when you loosen the strings, these saddles are going to go back to the lowest position. I believe this is zone 1 here, so there's going to be no tension on here. That's going to be normal, so you're just going to do that until every string is obviously slack and all the saddles are back here. Then, given this guitar is locking tuners, you're just going to restring it as you normally would with any guitar with locking tuners, or regardless of what kind of tuners they have. So just keep doing this and until all the strings are loose. Alright, so the strings are off, and the big part about this is why am I going to get rid of these strings, because they were basically brand new, is because honestly, you know, taking the strings off and just doing a pickup change with no strings on it is the easiest thing you could actually do when installing pickups or changing pickups. I've tried it before, and you might have seen me, you know, kind of battle with that on my last setup video of installing the Seymour Duncan Jupiters on my green LSL guitar, and it was just a nightmare. There's unneeded stress that you can avoid, and yes, you know, changing strings is annoying, and especially if you don't have another pack of strings, you gotta run out and spend money to get strings. Like, I get it, but just save yourself the hassle, or install a pickup when you're changing your strings, which is a really good alternative too. But thankfully, there's a spare set of strings that I was able to use, so I'm just gonna rip those on as soon as I can. But before I do anything, something I like to do before I get into like pickups or anything, or putting strings back on the guitar, is just doing a giant one over the guitar, okay? So I'm going to oil the fretboard because I have nothing in the way, and I can actually get in there with like my guitar polish cloth for fretboards and just really work it in. The frets on this guitar, they look pretty good. I think these are stainless steel frets, so if you do have stainless steel frets on a guitar, you can get away with not really cleaning them that often because they do hold up really well over time. I might give these a quick clean down because they look okay, but they could be a little bit better, and I'll show you how to do that. I'm going to tighten all the hardware as well, and I actually noticed the volume pot on this guitar when I was just recording a little bit with it. It is really scratchy, so I'm going to show you how you can fix a scratchy volume pot instead of spending, you know, 20 bucks at a local music store for another volume pot. So, you know, show you a couple tricks that'll go a long way and save you a lot of money in the long run. So, here we go. Alright, next up we're going to hop into cleaning the frets and oiling the fretboard. So, This stuff right here, this Frine from Music Nomad, you get, as you can see, you get some individual fret cleaners, so they're gauged out for the size of the fret, whether you got banjo frets, you got vintage or jumbo or extra jumbo or medium frets. You got a couple in here that'll kind of set you up for whatever kind of application you need. Just enough, so that's good. And I know some people are probably gonna scream at me. Take a little bit of one of these, you got a dish rag, you know, like one of those microfiber cloths or these, whatever these are called. You use them to clean your dishes, and we'll line this up. You're gonna push down, as I'm doing here, so to keep this actual tool flat. And I'm gonna go ever so lightly, ever so lightly. You don't have to make crazy hard passes, but already I can tell, it might be hard to see in the camera, I'm already making a noticeable difference versus the other frets around this guitar. So, you know, this is probably $1. This fret cleaning system or these fret tools are maybe 15 bucks on Amazon. So take little passes and obviously go slow. You can also use an eraser too. An eraser is a really good tool if you're too scared of maybe scratching up your fretboard. You know, painter's tape will work really well as well. So next thing you do, clean up the frets, then get to the fretboard. Alright, let's turn our attention to the nut right here. So here's a cool way of how you can actually keep your strings from either slipping or actually holding tune better. So some people will go out and get this stuff called nut sauce, and I haven't seen it at most music stores. Even in Vancouver, kind of where I am, I haven't seen that in some of the bigger stores. So what you could do, get some fretboard oil, just lightly dab it into the slots here. Okay, so that'll lubricate the nut, and that'll keep the strings from slipping, so it's not just metal on plastic or a hard surface on another hard surface, and that'll just keep your strings from sliding around, and they'll actually hold tune better. And I've noticed this on every guitar that I've done, they've all held tune way better than before. Alright, so at this point, we're going to install this pickup. This is the Alpha pickup from Seymour Duncan. So what you want to do, you're going to unscrew the back plate here where all the electronics are, and we're going to do a couple things in one. I'm going to show you how to fix those noisy pots as well, but first thing you want to do is just take the back cover off. We got the inside cavity here. Okay, so let's zoom in on this and get a better sense of what we're doing. Scratchy volume pot, what I'm going to do is take a little bit of this stuff. This is contact cleaner, you can kind of see that. Any kind will do, and I'm just going to shoot it right into the volume pot here. Now you don't want to do too much of this contact cleaner stuff, okay? You don't want to do too much because this is a liquid, you know, at the end of the day, and regardless if they dry immediately or if they take a little bit of time to settle out, it is still a liquid, so you run the risk of overdoing it, and you could actually flood it and short out the circuit and have to buy a new pot itself. Okay, or you just short out the pot and it's dead because it's just caked in a liquid. So you just want to give it one dab, then you're going to run the volume pot like 0 to 10 just back and forth, and that's how it's going to clean it. And if you've ever ripped apart a volume pot, the actual part sits on a track and that'll just clean it up itself. So if you just go constant back and forth with a little bit of this contact cleaner, that's a cheap way to how to fix your volume pot if you're getting any scratching. Alright, at this point it is time to unsolder the old pickup and install this new Seymour Duncan Alpha pickup. So, with every Seymour Duncan or any pickup, you're gonna get a wiring diagram with it. If not, you just go onto the pickup manufacturer website and then you research what you need. I'm pretty sure this is all gonna be the same, so you're essentially just gonna be doing a little bit of cut and snip, and you're gonna be rematching the wires of where they came from. What you wanna do first, flip that guitar over, loosen the bridge pickup, take it all the way out, okay? And then, once it's out of the cavity, the body, once it's out of the cavity, you're then going to want to pull on the wires just to make sure you have the correct wire so you're not unsoldering the wrong pickup by accident. And if you can hear that scratching, those are the magnets that is touching against this wooden table here. So, this is the one I need to focus on. As you can see here, green and the bare wire are soldered together in this kind of cluster of wires. I actually might cut it, that might be easier. So if you're into a situation like this where you get a lot of wires going to one ground, you can cut one or cut off of that a little bit and solder to that. Red and white are going together. This tab on the super switch, very cool thing about these solars, didn't know, you get a real high quality super switch here. These are around 20 to 30 bucks on their own, so kind of sweet they're coming with these. And black is going to this tab here, so realistically it's just like a regular Duncan wiring. I just connected them all like this, that's how they should be, and I'm just gonna copy and paste what I've already done. Okay, pickup is out, and one thing that you guys need to be aware of is how these pickups are mounted. These are direct mount, okay? And the ones that I'm installing, they are not direct mounted, so they're designed to be mounted to a pickup ring, okay? It might be hard to photograph or videograph here, but these are actually threaded. You might be able to see the threads right there in the pickup tab. Whereas these ones, they're just drilled out, and that's from the factory. So that's what you're gonna have to do if you're getting new pickups. Okay, so what I've done, I went and got my drill, and I'm gonna kind of just take a new drill bit, put it through the pickup tab ring here. You know, it's fitting. And that's gonna be a good indication of where you have to go for the new pickup. Or you can match up the drill bit here to the existing screw that you use, because the screws I got for this guitar are going to be for a pickup ring, or for this pickup, but they're going to be for a pickup ring, not for a direct mount. So keep all the old hardware, because you never know when you're going to need it again. So drill bit through the pickup ring and just drill it out. So the pickup is installed, and I just quickly tested it as I did in my last video when I installed some pickups with my Seymour Duncan Jupiters. I grabbed like an Allen wrench or a screwdriver, just tapped the magnets and tested it just to see if I was getting sound, which I was, which means I wired it correctly. And so at that point, I mean, I can go on and restring this guitar. So you want to do that just to make sure that you've, you know, as they say in the trades, you know, you measure twice and you cut once kind of deal. You want to double check that your work is correct before you move on to the next part of it. So I'm going to restring this guitar, and we are going to walk through and learn about the Evertune. Okay, so I'm pretty new to this. I watched a lot of videos, especially the solar guitar videos. I found those ones very informative. They're right to the point, and the thing I really like about those ones is that Ola walks through everything that you have to do and doesn't really skip over everything. Even though he's probably set up 100 Evertune guitars, he really breaks it down and really passes on his knowledge in a really easy to digest manner, which is pretty awesome. So I'm gonna go through this, and hopefully in this video, you know, from someone who's green to the Evertune, you know, can pass on some information to you, so maybe this can be a little less scary to you in the future. And this doesn't seem too bad, honestly. Now that I'm looking at it and now that I've actually played with it before, it should be pretty straightforward, but always, as I said many times, just go slow, double check your work and before you are officially done. All right, so the strings are in the guitar and they're through the saddles of the guitar. So since these are locking tuners, I'm just gonna go ahead and string them right through, twist the thumb screw a bunch of times until the strings lock, and then I'm going to then tune it up. But before you even do that, the one thing you need to be cautious of is the actual string gauges that you're using. Okay, so you might be thinking, well, do string gauges really matter? You know, especially for someone like Andrew Baina, where string gauges are the bane of his existence. Yes, they do matter when you're working with an Evertune, okay? Depending on the string gauges and the tuning that you're using, the springs and the saddles that come with the Evertune and come with your Evertune guitar may or not be fitted for the string tension and the tuning that you're using, okay? There's a couple videos I watched on that, so you need to make sure that the string tension and pitch and the scale length are all exact for the saddles to properly work for the tuning. Okay, so you can check all that by going onto the Evertune website and punching in the, like, per string, the tuning, the scale length, and the pitch that it's going to be tuned at, and see if it works with the current springs and saddles that you have in here. Otherwise, it's just going to be regular tuning from there, and essentially if you want the non-bending function, that's when you're like playing the note and you're playing it 100 times and you're bending and it's not going out of pitch or anything. So unless you want that, or if you want just a traditional Evertune setup where you can actually bend the notes and it'll return to full pitch. Alright, so I'm going to start tuning up this guitar. All the strings are in and they're locked in right now, so this is what you're going to be starting with. All the saddles of the Evertune should be way at the back here, kind of pointing upwards on a 45-ish degree angle, okay? So down here, if you can kind of see, these little holes in here, right in there, that is where you're going to tune the guitar once you get to zone 2, okay? Zone 2 is going to come up when these strings are at the pitch that they're supposed to be in. And then if you go to bend the string won't go out of tune. That is zone 2. And that's going to be like a normal factory setup from Evertune or from Solar Guitars, or generally from whoever you're getting your Evertune guitar from brand new. These screws here, or these parts right here, right where my finger is, that is how you tune, adjust the action of the guitar. The back one's here, this is for intonating the guitar. I'm making my way through the guitar here, and you're going to notice that, you can kind of see it, two of the saddles, namely the A and the D strings, are in zone 3 already, whereas the low A for drop A and the E string, they're in, you can see that, they're in zone 2, okay? So now there's going to be an interesting little thing about this. So basically, to get this set of strings in the tuning that, you know, that we want to get to here, I had to put these two strings already in zone 3, okay, because otherwise they actually weren't optimized for the tuning that this is in. Like the saddles and the string gauge, the optimization didn't match, so realistically you would have to put new saddles in the guitar to make the string gauge kind of work. Otherwise, you know, just as a regular Evertune, you're just going to be tuning and tuning and tuning and tuning to just kind of make it work, you know. And obviously, if you're in like a tight timeline or whatever, or if you actually don't have the parts, or if it's like, let's say it's a Sunday and you actually don't have time to order these and you don't have time to wait, or you just have a pack of strings and you have to use them and you don't want to buy another set of strings, this is kind of the way you can work around it. I mean, you're not going to be able to have the fully locked mode, which I'm noticing right now, because the only way I can get this, these strings to be in the actual tuning is if I put them in zone 3 for the actual tuning that it's supposed to be in. So that means I can bend the note and it'll move like a normal guitar would, or like a normal string on a guitar would, but it will return to pitch as it should be. But I cannot have this in the fully locked mode, which means when I bend a string that nothing would happen. So I can't have that. But if you're in this situation, this is a way you can kind of get around that. And obviously it pays to kind of know what strings you need to get for the next time. But I mean, if you're in a pinch, you can kind of do this, but if you're super strict on, I need to have my strings locked all the time, I can't have any bending, then you might have to do a little bit more research on your end before you slap some strings on your guitar. But a little friendly tip, but you can still work around this, so fear not. Alright, so the guitar is now tuned up. As you can see, most of the strings are in zone 2, and we have the remaining 2 in zone 3. Okay, so as I said before, make sure the gauges that you're putting on are actually optimized for the spring tension in the back and the saddle tension, so you can actually lock all the strings and have them not bend if you choose to. In my opinion, just go on the Evertune website and double check to make sure the strings that you're using will all be locked. But at the end of the day, this guitar is fully in tune and holds tuning, but just these 2 strings, because they're not actually optimized, cannot be in the fully locked position for what I know right now. Alright, so now I have most of these strings here from the low A up to the high D string. They're in zone 3 right now, but now I'm going to walk you through, since we're doing the action here, and you're going to notice once you are adjusting the action, you're going to be going between zones pretty well. So I would say if you're keeping the same string gauges, set the action on the old set of strings, and just so then you can just skip this step while you're doing this and put the guitar in the tuning that you want it to actually be in, okay? And with the correct zone, whether you want full locking or you want some bending abilities. So we're going to take these 3 strings here. Let's take the G string, for example. Okay, so it's in tune. I'm going to hit a note on the fretboard. That's an F note right there. And as you can see, I'm bending the string and the pitch is not really changing. While it might be a little out of tune on the tuner, but the pitch itself is not ascending or descending, so now that is fully locked mode. Now this is going to be the zone 3. What we're going to do, you're going to start tuning until the note goes sharp. There's going to be a lot of turns in here, and you know, you might think you're going to break the string, but just keep going, because then you will feel if it is going to break. But then you're going to want to watch for the saddle down here. It's going to start moving. Okay, and I've done a lot of turns and it's still in tune, so we need to keep going. At this point, I'm just still setting the tension using the tuners here. As you can see, the saddle here is coming up, so we're getting close. Oh, there we go. So you hear that? It's getting a little sharper, so now we back it down and tune it, matching the note. I like to use attack tuning as well. That means tuning the note as you strum it, because you're generally, if you're playing metal for the most part, you're kind of attacking the string at most of the time anyway, so you want to make sure the note you're actually hitting is in tune, not the decay. So you want to make sure the attack is in tune and not the decay. The decay is the sustained note. So now let's check our theory. And that's zone 3. I'm going to do that for the rest of these strings, and then we'll see you in a second just for some intonation. Alright, so after I just finished tuning the guitar, here's a little inside tip for you guys. I just tuned it laying flat. Okay, so I went and picked it up, and I noticed the guitar, after I picked it up and put it in my playing position, it's actually out of tune. Okay, so what you want to do is actually you want to tune the guitar as if you were playing it. So you want to put it in playing position, so then you actually tune the guitar, because you know, most of us aren't playing guitar like this on our laps, you know, Jeff Healy's and others who are visually impaired are playing like that primarily, or if you're playing like this for fun, like if you're doing tap guitar or something. But generally, most of us are playing guitar like this. So you want to tune your guitar actually like this, because you tune it flat and bring it up, it's actually going to be out of tune whether the pitch is sharp or a little bit flat. Okay, and I remember hearing that has to do with some sort of gravity. Gravity is actually pushing down on the guitar. Now, have I measured this? No. I've heard this from people that I've learned how to fix guitars from. Now, whether it's true or not, I mean, I can see where they're coming from, but I don't know the actual math and science behind the theory. But all I know is that tune the guitar in your playing position, so then when you actually go to play it and set it up and intonate it, it's actually going to be in tune for the position you play it and not the position you fix it. Okay, so I'm going to bring us right back to the intonation screws, okay? Intonation is basically the distance between the 12th fret and the 24th fret, or from one octave to another, okay? Basically, from the open note here at the top of the nut down to the 11th fret, that's all going to be in tune. But now, open to 12, or at least the first octave to the second octave, that's where things can get a little wonky, okay? That's where your note will potentially be out of tune, especially if you're going to solo and anything like that, and especially if you're going to be recording, you're going to notice it. We're going to take the Evertune key here, and then we're going to insert it in the back into one of these saddles, depending on what string is going to be either sharp or flat. So just like a regular intonation, okay? I like to hit the open note, and then you're going to hit the 12th fret as you normally would, or you can do a 12th fret harmonic, then hit the open, then hit the actual fretted note, okay? So then if your note is flat, if the fretted note is flat, you're then going to be turning the Allen key clockwise, okay? So in the video, you're going to be turning it to the right. Now, if the note is sharp, you're going to be turning it left. So counterclockwise, okay? And that's pretty well it. I'm just going to go through and set up this guitar in my playing position, and then we're going to be pretty well done. Then shortly after this, we're going to get into a quick tone test, then some final thoughts. Alright, so I got the whole guitar all dialed in at this point. We're fully intonated. We are fully done. I only have to just cut these strings so I don't poke anyone's eyes out. Action is where I like it. It's very low and snappy and will not fret out. The intonation is where it should be and is fully in tune. And overall fit and finish of this thing, pretty sweet. And pickup is installed, so we're going to listen to a quick tone test between the Duncan Solar, which is going to be first, and then we're going to hear the Alpha Omega Bridge pickup. We're going to go back and forth between the two. So everything is just straight up into my Rev Generator Mark II, 6L6s and KT88 combination with my live rig, which is just a Boss MS3 and 4-cable method. No boost or anything, everything's just all from the amp. Then that's going into my Scarlett 4i4, then a cab sim from Neural DSP, and that is pretty well it. No post-processing or anything. This is just the raw guitar sound to how I like setting up my amps and my signal chains. Alright, so it is a new day, we're wearing a new shirt, and the guitar is all done. Now, I was pleasantly surprised by this Duncan Alpha Omega bridge pickup. I thought it sounded pretty neat. I like the high end that it brings out. It really cleaned up this guitar given it's an ash body. But that goes without saying, that Duncan Solar I was really surprised by. I really enjoyed that pickup as well. And that goes without saying that if you buy this guitar stock, you know, with the Duncan Solar pickups, you're gonna get a good guitar at the end of the day because those pickups sound fantastic. You know, just different flavors, different strokes for different folks, and no matter what, this is a pretty solid guitar, you know, especially when you're getting an Evertune at the price that these are priced at, and with all the appointments like the stainless steel frets and all that good stuff. So, if you learned something new in this video, make sure you tell me what it was, and if you maybe think that the Evertunes are kind of cool and they're maybe not as scary as you once thought, leave that as a comment below. I'd love to hear what you guys thought of this style of video, and if you want me to keep making these kinds of videos, because I totally enjoy doing them and giving you guys a little bit of insight to what I do on the side, aside from playing guitar here. So, with that being said, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Cheers.